Welcome back to the channel. I'm very excited to highlight a brand new surveillance product to the US market. This product is named Luminys, formerly known as Dahua USA, but was purchased and rebranded. And we're gonna go over an unboxing, a setup, and a how-to video. I look forward to showing you guys the really neat products that Luminys has to offer. Before we really dig into the video, I'd like to first cover some history on Luminys, where it comes from, and the reasons why. Luminys was formerly known as Dahua USA. Now, Dahua USA, like Hikvision, who also makes LTS, Huawei, quite a few other Chinese-based surveillance cameras, have recently gotten quite a bit of bad publicity, mainly due to the fact that they're manufactured in China. In 2018, the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, added surveillance cameras and telecommunication devices to its list of restricted items. This is simply to defend the USA against some other foreign company from having too much access to sensitive information. For example, I can't install a Dahua or Hikvision camera on a government building or at a military base. I just wanted to give you a little history on the motivation behind Luminys. Let's talk a little bit about Foxlink. Foxlink is a $100 billion company. They work with other large companies like Apple. They're based in Taiwan, which means that they are NDAA compliant. Foxlink also has a really high standard of manufacturing. So I'm excited to see the product lines that they're going to come up with and the quality of the electronic builds. Now, here's why I'm really excited for the Luminys product line. Number one, they're NDAA compliant, which means we can install this product any and everywhere in the United States. No limitations on where this product has an application. Foxlink is known for its high level of manufacturing, so I'm expecting a really good quality product. Luminys is building out an ecosystem similar to Ubiquiti, if you're familiar with that at all, which pretty much means you'll have a centralized platform for all of your surveillance and security needs. It does come with a freebie app, and you also get 3 months or 90 days free of their Lumi Cloud. The Lumi Cloud is going to offer you things like cloud recording and a centralized interface no matter where you're at from any device. This product is also going to be highly compatible with all the different types of web browsers out there. If you're a security installer like myself, you're very familiar with different manufacturers not working with certain web browsers because of compatibility and security issues. So looking forward, I'm really excited about this product. Let's quit talking about it and let's get it opened up. All right, let's get started first and foremost with the camera. This particular camera that we have is the N5. It's the Lumi Smart camera, and it's a turret style. Just first impressions on the box, beautiful packaging. On here we do have the NDAA compliance logo, as well as ONVIF, which I'm excited about because ONVIF is kind of almost industry standard for protocol on these IP cameras. Looking at the box here, we can see that we've got the Lumilux Smart Motion Activated LEDs, which if I look at the picture of the camera here, more than likely it's this one here. And what that means is when there's motion, the camera is going to light it up with a bright white LED light. We've got Lumi Analytics. Interested to see how that's going to work. We will be testing that out. We also have Lumi Power. This is pretty cool. So they're saying that we can go distances up to 3,000 feet on an Ethernet run. That's pretty impressive. Similar to like what we would call an EPOE currently. The next thing is Lumi Search, and it says find a person or vehicle. So more than likely that sounds like a smart search, which is really going to help you out in finding those events or activities that you really want to see and not having to watch 8 hours of footage to try to find something that happened last night. Other than that, I'm excited about this. Let's get it opened up and we'll do a quick look at the camera and see how the build quality is. Just looking at the specs on this camera before we do that though, this is a 4 megapixel IP camera. It has a 1 by 1.8 inch CMOS sensor. It's a 2.8 millimeter lens, which is a rough, let's say 108 to 110 degree viewing angle. so a pretty wide angle lens. Of course, it's outdoor rated, and its max resolution is 4 megapixels at 30 frames per second. It also has a built-in microphone, which is really cool, so you can hear what's happening on the video. And I think they did a really good job of making packaging that not only looks good, I like the color scheme, the black, blue, white, and gray, but also gives you some good information and some great talking points on the box itself. So good job Luminys on branding. I think it looks great. The logo looks awesome. Okay, let's get right into it. Let's open the box up and take a look at what's inside. Open this up here. Okay, so it comes with a template for mounting. Mounting template for the back of the camera. Looks like it does have a cable trace area here if you need to surface mount this. And take a look inside of here. So inside of here we have a few parts and pieces. Set that to the side. So of course we have our description of the network turret camera, a quick start guide. Let's open this up and see what kind of directions it comes with, because usually they don't come with much. So we have an English and a Spanish side. So it has a table of contents and what you might need to install this device, as well as a quick start menu and just a quick tutorial on how to connect the weatherized kit for the LAN or Ethernet connection. Here we have some mounting screws and hollow wall anchors, as well as a outdoor kit for the Ethernet connection. Let's go ahead and pull the camera out. Very similar packaging to Dahua, if I can just give my first impressions as far as the packaging goes on the inside. We'll open this up. I have to say, pulling this camera out, this camera is impressive. I like the housing on it. Everything is an aluminum outer body, which is nice. It just gives a nice, it also has good weight to it. It's got a nice beefy weight, so it looks like it's pretty durable. It could withstand some punishment and the outdoors weather conditions. Here we have a knockout for a cable tray if we had to bring this cable out off to the side of it. Also, before we open up the camera housing, just looking at the front here, it does have a piece of plastic to protect this. I can see a hole here for a microphone. Of course, we have our camera lens. This is a turret style camera, which are some of my favorites. Here we have the IR and white lights. And actually looking at this, we have dual mics, which is really nice. Sometimes on more budget series cameras that have audio enabled, they'll only have one microphone, which is fine in kind of a controlled environment, but having dual mics really gets you better audio quality. So I'm assuming this thing twists off. This is a plastic cover, but all this really covers up is your mounting screw hardware areas, as well as a set screw to hold the camera bracket in place. I'm going to use my screwdriver here and loosen this. It did seem like the fit on this was pretty good. In the past, other cameras that have used a similar kind of twist on, twist off would actually come down below the surface of the mounting bracket, which would cause issues, especially if your surface isn't perfectly flat. For example, if you're mounting this on stucco or some kind of masonry, it's not always a flat surface. So the fact that this sits up high enough actually off of the back bracket is nice. That makes sure that actually makes it a lot easier for twisting this on and off, because if this thing were, for example, to sit flat like a lot of old cameras would, and the surface isn't flat next to the bracket, it was really difficult to get these on or off very well. So let's loosen this up and figure out how to take this thing off. Let's see. This is my first time seeing this, so forgive me. I'm learning this thing as you guys are. Well, the screw is definitely all the way backed out. Maybe there's a... Yes. So you have to slide the screw over to a notch point and then back it out. That's interesting. It's actually pretty cool. I like this idea. In the past, this whole thing would potentially come all the way off. If you're up on a ladder or something, the thing would fall and then you'd have to find it and put it back on. But this has almost like a notch section where you slide it over. See if I can show you guys. You slide it over and then it allows you to push this piece back to release this top cover housing. So cool. We'll set that to the side and set this here. I do like, it seems to have nice tight-fitting rubber pieces in here. The reason why that's important is when you have the camera on the bracket, and then you put this top cover on. The purpose of the top cover is actually to pull the camera down into that rubber piece, causing friction so the camera is not easily movable. And just on first impression, with putting this thing on and taking it off, the camera was quite snug in there, which is good. You'll see sometimes on cheaper model cameras or less of a quality build, the camera will sit inside of this bracket but still be extremely loose. All right, so we have the camera out. This is the camera itself. It's all sealed up. A lot of times they will actually put a small vacuum inside of this housing, keeps moisture out. I want to open up this here. This is the bottom side of the camera, and here's where you would actually put your micro SD card if you wanted to run micro SD cards on your camera. Okay, very similar to the Dahua build here. It looks like they did put a little ring of oil here. This is the weather stripping here to keep moisture out. And inside of here we have a micro SD card slot as well as a reset button. I have to assume the reset would work similar to the Dahua series, where it's a 30-second hold on power up. All right, so I'm gonna put this back on. Cool. All right, let's move on down the camera. We have our, I don't know what the official term is. We call this a dongle. But pretty much here we have our options for the camera. We have, of course, our LAN or Ethernet. That would actually pair up with the weather kit that it comes with to make sure that there's no moisture getting into this portion where the camera connects to the network as well as gets PoE, power over Ethernet. Down here we have a power cable, so it looks like you can run a 12-volt auxiliary power supply to the camera in the event, for example, of camera in the field where you don't have connection to a PoE. We've got an audio input, so if you wanted to run an exterior microphone to the camera, you could. Oh, this is cool. An audio output. Now, normally you wouldn't see that on a Dahua camera of similar specs where it just has audio inputs. This actually has an audio output jack, and then you have your alarm outputs if you needed to run this to an alarm panel or some kind of a signaling device. First impressions on this, looks pretty sturdy, very similar to the Dahua product though, as far as connections go and build. The build quality on this camera does seem to be a little bit nicer than Dahua, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, that's first impressions on this. Just to kind of run through a few quick specs for the camera. So this camera can run H.265 plus, H.265 and H.264. That's really nice for compression and memory storage. Other side notes, it's IP67, just means it's outdoor rated for pretty extreme conditions. It looks like it comes stock with video content analytics plus, line crossing, intrusion detection, loitering detection, parking detection, Luminys Smart, which I'm assuming is their name for the smart illumination on the front of the camera, where at nighttime, if somebody were to cross in front of the camera, it would light them up with a bright white LED light. Lumi Search Plus, which I can only assume is like a smart search. It just helps you find events that are important for you on a search, as well as Lumi Analytics and Lumi Power. Lumi Analytics, I'm assuming, would be like the AI IVS that Dahua used to use, intelligent verification system, where you can program into the camera like an invisible white picket fence, where if somebody were to cross that line, it recognizes what the object is, person or vehicle, let's say, and then could send an alert to a central station or to your phone. As well as Lumi Power. Lumi Power, I have to assume, is this amazing. On the box here, it talks about, yeah, Lumi Power, long distance up to 3,000 feet. That's a pretty good distance for an IP camera, 3,000 feet. I think that fits most applications. First impressions are really good. Build quality seems great. The housing and bracket are sturdy and very secure. I didn't get any of the back boxes for the camera. We'll probably do a later video with those and highlight the different types of back boxes, whether it's just your standard back box, maybe a gooseneck or type arm that comes with it, a ceiling mount pendant bracket. I'm sure it's gonna have all of those extra features like the Dahua did, the extra items that you can add on for mounting options. Nice, I like it. One thing that is apparent with this camera that stands out to me is the size of it. This is definitely a commercial, beefy looking camera. To kind of give you some comparison on it, Well, actually, before I do that, let's just take some measurements. So it's approximately 5.5 inches wide from side to side, almost 5 inches tall when sitting flat and facing straight forward. So the size of this camera is, to be honest with you, pretty beefy looking. It's a good looking turret camera, a very sturdy housing. Let me grab what I would consider its equal on the Dahua line, just so you can have some comparison on size. Both facing approximately in the same direction. This is the Dahua ViewMore camera with the smart illuminators. And even the illuminators on this camera are quite a bit larger, which I think is great because at nighttime it's really gonna light up the area that you wanna see. I'm really excited to hook this thing up and see what it looks like at night. But just so you can take a look and see for yourself, there is a considerable size difference on the camera. All right, next we've got our NVR. Again, first impressions on the box. Let me flip it around here. Looks like it's the same on both sides. You got the NDAA-compliant logo on there as well as ONVIF. This looks like an R3 4K PoE NVR, which, just looking at that, tells me that it probably has 4 PoE ports built into it, and it has a 4K output on the video side. Looking at some features here on the side, we've got HDMI and VGA output, PoE, plug and play, 4K decoding and access, and it also can do analytics by camera. Just looking at the box, the NVR itself, I like how it's a little bit more rounded, kind of sleek looking. I'm excited to start this up and see what it sounds like while you're running it. As a lot of people know, sometimes an NVR can be a little noisy with the fans that are used for cooling. So I'm excited to start this one up and hear how it sounds. On the top of the box here, we've got some QR codes for scanning, and it talks about the Lumi Cloud and how you get that free for 90 days with a brand new purchase. There's some smaller logos here. I'm not sure if the camera can see it. I'm just going to read them out here. It says channel configuration, event cloud storage, Lumi search, IMD and VCA event search, health alerts, and comprehensive reports. So pretty cool. I'm excited to get this thing running, have it on the Lumi Cloud, and see what kind of features that we can do on Lumi Cloud. But just looking at the box for an NVR, I think it looks great. I'm excited to open this guy up too and get this camera running. Okay, moving on, we have a 4-channel NVR. Let's open this guy up and get some first impressions. So we'll pop this open. Looks pretty good. I like the logo that they have on it here. Pop out the box. I'm assuming that's the power supply, mouse, and any other miscellaneous bits. This guy should slide out. So this is just a 4-channel NVR. Pretty small form factor. Similar size about to the Dahua 4-channel NVR with built-in PoE. I do like the fact that they went with a squared box instead of a rounded box like the Dahua 4-channel. Let's just open this guy up. And we'll slide it out. Looks pretty nice. It does have screw holes for rack mounting, which is pretty cool. I like that. Front of it looks clean, luminous, straight to the point. We've got a USB on the front. There should be one on the back. There is, located right here underneath the Ethernet jack. And then we have our 4 PoE ports. We also have a microphone in and mic line out. We've got 2 video ports here. So we have an HDMI, I'm assuming for the 4K and the VGA, as well as a grounding screw. Set that to the side. Let's open up the accessory box. All right, so in here we've got some rubber feet that we can stick on the bottom of the NVR. A quick start guide. We've got a SATA cable here, and a power supply cable for the hard drive. Looks like a Cat 5 stranded Ethernet patch cable. Same looking mouse. Let's take a look. We'll unbox it. Yep, just a standard basic USB mouse. And then we have our power supply for the NVR and PoE, as well as, oh, that's nice, they give you some screws to mount your SATA drive inside of it. Overall, I like how it looks from a form factor. It looks clean, nice lines, pretty sturdy housing on it. Sometimes we like to mount these things up underneath the desk or on a wall, and it looks like we do have the ability to do that. I like how they gave us some holes here where if you don't put the feet on it, you could potentially use those to secure this to a wall. A couple of things with the Luminys technology. So you're not going to be required to have any kind of a plug-in on a web browser. It should work with all web browsers out there, which is very cool. So, a lot of the Chinese cameras have issues with Chrome or Firefox or want you to use Internet Explorer. You can also do a LPR or a license plate search on the app and on a PC, which, especially with Dahua in the past, if you wanted to try to find a license plate, you had to go right to the NVR in order to do that playback. So those LPR cameras, you can now find those through the app and PC. The last thing about this, the AI for Luminys is powered by UbiLink, which is a very large AI company on the cutting edge of surveillance AI especially. So what I'd like to do actually is open up the casing for the NVR, and we'll take a look. Probably grab a 2 terabyte hard drive and throw it in here. Oop, don't lose a screw. So 2 screws on the back. Let's see if this thing pops open. Slides off. Perfect. We have our fan and motherboard. Here's our SATA connection. There is a button here that's interesting. I wonder if that's some kind of a reset button. All right, let's take a pause here. I'm gonna go grab a SATA hard drive, a 2 terabyte hard drive, and throw it in, and then we'll power it up. All right, guys, this is gonna conclude the unboxing and first impressions video of the new Luminys camera security system. In the next video, I will be setting up the NVR as well as configuring the camera with it and playing with the software and giving some good first impressions on how the system actually works.